What is up, guys? Welcome to the Sports Scoop with Lucas, Lee, and
Nihal Chana.
big shout out to Jasmine, Anna, and Tegan for their great feedback on our previous episode.
Today, we have a special guest, Nihal Chana from Deep Six. He's going to tell us a little bit of something about himself.
Hey guys, I'm from the Deep Six. I love sports and play hockey, basketball, whatever. And I started the Deep Six at the same time as the Sports Scoop.
So now on to our current events. So ESPN posts rookie power rankings. Victor Wembanyama coming in first, Chet Holmgren second, and third, Derek Lively the second. Additionally, big upset in the NCAA March Madness. Oakland Golden Grizzlies beating the Kentucky Wildcats. The score was 80-76.
Seeing as their star player was Jack Gohickey, who played very well during this game and dropped 30 points. All of them were threes. He attempted 23s, made 10 of them. Quite shocking considering he is not declared for the NBA draft, and nor was he a prospect before this game.
Yeah, something I found interesting about that was I found out that all of his shots, 347 shots of his 300 out of his 355 were all threes. So he only shot 8 that were inside the 3-point line. So some of the topics that we'll be covering right now will be the NFL free agency and trades. So some of the trades that really stood out to me were or signings were Saquon Barkley to the Eagles and Derrick Henry to Baltimore as well. Kale, what do you think about some of these trades?
Well, Saquon to the Eagles, that's a big one. Another one that also followed that one was Kirk Cousins to the Falcons. That's interesting considering that Desmond Ridder was their starting quarterback last year. And, he was not performing very well. So, and he had a decent team. You got Drake London on that squad. And, with Kirk Cousins, magic happening there, they can make a run for the playoffs this year.
Yeah, especially with how Kyle Pitts and Drake London have been doing. Not that great considering not having a good starting quarterback with them. Especially for Bijan Robinson. He had a pretty good year last year, even with a bad quarterback. So I think with the addition of Kirk Cousins, I think it'll be definitely a bumped up season for the Falcons.
Yeah, a little bit of a changed lineup though. Seeing as Kirk Cousins did leave Minnesota. Now, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And, Aaron Jones obviously went to the Vikings as well, which Lucas will talk about more on in a bit. But Kirk Cousins leaving is just wild, Vikings really had a shot last year, making the playoffs. They had a great run. Jay Jettas, obviously, what a standout wide receiver. Unfortunately got injured, but, seeing as Jay Jetta's star player was indeed Kirk Cousins, they had the best connection on that squad. And, even Jordan Addison was there, too. So, it'll be interesting to see their new QB and their offensive core. But, it could be a little bit of a disappointment for the Vikings and Vikings fans.
A couple more signings and trades. Steelers, actually, I think, had the best free agency so far. Signing Patrick Queen, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields. So 2 quarterbacks is an amazing play for the Steelers, with Kenny Pickett obviously not having a good season at all. And I think the Steelers would definitely have a good season with the addition of Patrick Queen on the defense as well. Lucas, what do you think about Aaron Jones to the Vikings?
Yeah, so I think that in the next NFL season, Aaron Jones to the Vikings, this trade will affect it because Jones is a starting running for Green Bay Packers, and now he may lead the Vikings into the playoffs and maybe into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and just to add to Nihal when he said about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both going to Pittsburgh, it should be interesting seeing who gets more minutes. And it's also interesting for the Bears, They giving away Justin Fields, didn't look very bright considering they have Keenan Allen now. They have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, And as you saw in the press conference, DJ Moore was actually defending that Justin Fields should stay with them. Obviously, Bears were looking for Caleb Williams in this upcoming draft, or the first overall draft pick. So he'll be an interesting prospect. Right now, DJ Moore and a couple of his teammates are not thinking too highly of Caleb Williams, seeing as though, they really had that connection with Justin Fields, and it's a little upsetting to see him go, but it'll be interesting to see what he does next season. So
Yeah, I'm just gonna finish up the free agency really quickly. Chiefs signed Marquise Brown, big signing for the Chiefs as they needed a wide receiver. Even though they won the Super Bowl last year, I think definitely it will help them in the long run and creating their dynasty for the next couple years. As I am a Chiefs fan, I hate to see this happen, but L'Jarius Sneed, as well as Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley, all joined the Titans, which upsets me quite a bit because L'Jarius Sneed was our best player, or one of our best players on defense. And I think this obviously doesn't help the Chiefs, so they have to find someone to replace him and get the job done that he did.
yeah, and just to add to that, Titans are actually looking really good coming into this next season. They have a little young stud quarterback, Will Levis. We didn't see much from him last year. The core wasn't great. His offensive core wasn't that great, but we could maybe expect some big things from him. Seeing as though they have a great offense and they just picked up L'Jarius Sneed, which is a big value for their squad. But also we cannot surpass the Keenan Allen trade.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can all agree that was an absolutely terrible trade. They sold him for a 4th round pick. Keenan Allen, it was not worth a 4th round pick, seeing as though he should have been at least a 1st or 2nd round pick. For Justin Herbert, that's a little bit upsetting for him.
So something that I want to add, I know the trade didn't seem good because they got a 4th round pick, but it honestly wasn't a bad one because they opened up, I think, $37 million in cap space. Which definitely helps them out to get maybe a wide receiver trading or signing somebody. I know T. Higgins is requested a trade from Cincinnati, so I think they may be able to get him somewhere in that roster, and especially getting someone from the draft because they didn't do so well last year. I'm not sure what draft pick they have this year, but I think with their high draft pick in the top 10, I think it'll definitely help them out and help out Justin Herbert.
So adding on to doing good and not doing good, which of the 32 NFL teams do you think will make the playoffs this year?
For me, do you want me to list 8 teams, I think, or something?
Yeah,
like that?
which teams have a potential to join or participate in the playoffs?
Okay, I'm gonna go from AFC to NFC, just make it sort of a list. I think so. Chiefs, I think, definitely could make the playoffs. Baltimore Ravens could make the playoffs. Miami, the Miami Dolphins easily have a chance as well. The Titans could make it. I'm not sure how Will Levis will do with the core that they have. It'll depend on how Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, and L'Jarius Sneed help their team. Buffalo Bills, easily a chance to make the playoffs. And an underrated one, the Cleveland Browns. I think they will have an outstanding year. And because they have Deshaun Watson back, and at the start of the year, they had Nick Chubb, who got injured and tore his Achilles. I think that because they have him back for the whole season this year, they could definitely make a shot at it. And I think I have 2 more teams that I want to list. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for sure, and Cincinnati or Houston.
All right. So to that, I've got a pretty similar list here, but I don't think Cincinnati's going to do great. It'll be interesting to see how they play out, but as you saw, Joe Mixon got traded already, and that's one of their best receivers besides Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And we know that T. Higgins is also looking for a trade, so that's going to be interesting to see. And Joe Burrow, obviously we all know he wants it; he's hungry for it. But I think another guy in this AFC division is really deserving of it. Justin Herbert put in the work. We'll see how he does next year. But I think he's got a big chance to make the playoffs this year, and
Yeah.
maybe even taking it all the way. But highly doubt that with the Chiefs' defense with Chris Jones, and that'll be interesting. So
So I'm just gonna go back to the NFC is so the teams that I think will make it is the Eagles easily gonna make the playoffs this year with the addition of Saquon Barkley. San Francisco 49ers, no doubt about that one. Underrated one, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had a pretty good season last year, and they just signed Baker Mayfield to a contract for 4 years, I think. And with how good he did last year, I think he'll be able to pull it together and make something happen. Detroit, another one, easy pick for them to go to the playoffs, as they had an outstanding year last year. The Dallas Cowboys make it year after year, but lose in the most important games, and it's just disappointing.
all right, yeah. So I agree. Another team that could have possibly make it is we saw a big upset. Green Bay absolutely just cooking in the playoff run. Jordan Love, just an absolute stud. Along that line, last year we had C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. They really showed out for the rookie quarterback class, and Bryce Young even was there, but with his Carolina Panthers, we don't see much of a future for them. But another interesting team coming in is, as you said, the Falcons, and also we also see that the Cardinals. We don't really think they're gonna make it through, but also the Vikings. We'll see how they do, but the Vikings, with Jay Jettas, always a stud. If he can stay healthy this season, we'll probably see them in the finals. Hopefully, we just have to first hope that they make the playoffs. Kirk Cousins won't be there, but Jordan Addison and Jay Jettas will hold down the fort for them, hopefully. So, and TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the league, and arguably beside George Kittle and Travis Kelce.
Yeah. One fact that I want to bring up about the Dallas Cowboys, actually. I saw this on ESPN or TSN, something like that. And I saw that the Cowboys, this is going to be has to be their best year, as Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Zach Martin, and a bunch of all their star players contract ends after this year. So they will have to sign a bunch of players, and they don't have the cap space that all those players want for money. I know Dak Prescott will want big money. Same with CeeDee Lamb. Same with Zach Martin, as they're all star players. And that's just the fact that I think this is their 1 year. They have to bring it all to the table.
Yeah. So we went through the top trades and the free agency in the NFL, and who we think can make the playoffs and maybe even the Super Bowl. And that will be it for today. Don't forget to reply to the Q&A on Spotify Mobile to get your name in our podcast. That's it for the Sports Scoop.